Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VII. In the last part, we've traveled through the final dungeon. And now it's time to go put an end to this. And... really, Cloud? Let's
mosey.
God, you are a wimp. But you know what? You're our wimp and we love you.
I don't know about that one.
Ouch. And apparently a bunch of monsters are approaching, but they didn't make an FMV to show that, so everyone else who's not in the party we're about to select is gonna stay up here to fight them for a little bit.
Oh boy.
Now, I already basically formatted my final party for this, off-screen. And as for who I'm bringing in, I guess I'll see in a moment.
My guess is Tifa Barrett. For your party of 3, at least.
I'm bringing in my favorite party, Red and Sid. As for why, it's mostly due to their final weapon, their ultimate weapons being really good. Everyone else is going to get a bit of time too, don't get me wrong though. As for my final setup, I believe I'm going to show that off once we get control of Cloud back. And one last time, my favorite song in the game, Jenova's theme.
It's good. Jenova, absolute.
Now, one thing I should note is that everyone here has enemy skill materia and at least one of the master materia. I also have Knights of the Round, but I actually don't recommend using it for a reason we'll get to in a few moments. But the climb down is actually surprisingly dangerous because every single step you take on these rocks, you have a very high chance of running into an enemy. I've only ever... I think the lowest amount of enemy encounters I've had in here is 1. Other than that, I usually get 2+.
You can get enemy encounters here?
Yep. There are 3 enemies you can run into here. The Ahriman enemies that are French and I can't pronounce. The Dragon Zombie. And one other who I think I'm about to run into, or did I edit out that fight in total? No, I did not. Dun, 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 dun. It's Iron Man. Oh, dang, and he hurts a lot. Iron Man in this game has 20,000 HP, 10,000 experience points, 150 AP, 600 gil. You can steal elixirs from them. They drop Phoenix Downs. You can morph it into an escort guard. It takes less damage from fire, ice, and earth, and that's really about it.
Iron Man is very interesting in later renditions of the Final Fantasy games. For one particular reason I can think of.
It's also weird to think that enemy technically started out as a semi-super boss back in 2.
Okay, now we have Jenova Synthesis. This boss is really weird. 60,000 HP, 60,000 experience points, 500 AP. Don't get any money from it, nor any steals, drops, nothing of the sort. I honestly don't remember anything about this fight with the exception of the music being amazing. But the tentacles do about 1,500 points of damage, along with casting or inflicting silence. She may also inflict fury with repeating slap, which only used if Part B is alive, Part B being one of those tentacles. I don't know which one it is, the left or the right.
The dangerous thing about this fight is once its HP is down a significant amount, it starts a countdown. If it counts down to 0, Jenova uses Ultima. However, I don't think it actually does damage. I think it's just counted as a game over. So you need to make sure you do the damage to her and do it quickly. I think her stats also slightly alter by taking out the tentacles, but I can't recall the specifics of it enough. It's overall still an easy fight. In fact, I'd argue, just given the point in the game you're at, and if you have the right equipment, it's the easiest Jenova fight. But if you're not careful, things can go a bit south. Also, don't use Knights of the Round on her. We'll talk about why in a few moments. Also, she kind of just came out of nowhere, didn't she?
Yeah, just a bit.
Oh, God. No, I have to wonder what that feels like. Is it like low gravity, swimming in low gravity?
It's like Paper Mario. He swims.
Oh, hi, Planet Screaming. Ish. What's up, Cloud? Oh, it might be holy. Well, dang, we better get this thing out of here then. Oh, that's weird looking. And hey, everyone else is here.
Everyone is here.
Da 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 da. Oh, but yeah, literally everyone is here. Been a while, Sephiroth. Been since... Actually, it's been since, like...
The end of...
Part 22?
Yeah, like mid-disc 2 or something. Early disc 2.
Yeah. Alright, though. This next portion is a bit odd. Before the next fight, your party is going to get split up depending on several amounts of situations. Essentially, you can have up to 3 parties for this next fight. For one party, you need to have Jenova synthesis, have 13 or more turns before the ultimate countdown's activated. The lowest level character in your party is 34 or lower. The average party level is level 53 or less. For 2 parties, you need to have either Yuffie, Vincent, or both. The lowest level party member should be around 44, and the average party level is 67. And for 3, you need both optional characters, Jenova synthesis in less than 12 turns. Lowest level character needs to be 45 or higher, and the party average is 68 or higher, not counting Aerith. 2 is what I almost always get here, and in fact, I don't think I've ever gotten a 3-party arrangement.
Yeah.
I've heard, that the fight gets more difficult the more parties you have, but you can just fight it with the one party. You don't ever need to switch. Either way, Sephiroth, for once and for all, let's settle this shit.
Whoa.
But before I get into the fight, yeah, that's weird looking. Before I get into the fight stats, though, a very odd musical cue that I can't tell if it's intentional or not. Listen to the background beat of the music here in a moment. It sounds a little bit familiar. Also, I'm starting off really fast with Big Guard and such just because it's good to start off with in these boss fights. Alright, should be right around now. Give it a listen. If you hear that in the background there, and Kenny, you could probably hear it just by watching the playback or looking up the song eventually. I swear in that part of the music you can hear the classic Final Fantasy battle startup theme. And I can't tell if that's just me reading too deeply into it or not. Either way, Bizarro Sephiroth's HP varies on its various 5 parts. There's a main body, a head, a core, and the left and right magic. In order, they have 40,000 HP, 2,000 HP, 10,000 HP, and the latter 2 have 4,000 HP each. But depending on your actions, they can have more. The main body gains 5,000 for each character at level 99, and 60,000 if you use Knights of the Round in the last Jenova fight. The head gains 250 for each character at 99, the core 1250 for each at 99, and the left and right magics 500 each for level 99, at level 99. Supposedly, you're supposed to take out the 2 magics using the 2 parties to target the core, but no, you can just target it outright if you have the right party selecting abilities and such. This fight is damaging because it has things like Quake, but ultimately, a few casts of Ultima, summons like Bahamut can take out the limbs pretty easily. Aqualung and Pandora's box can be fairly useful here, but you still want to prioritize healing more than anything. Big Guard, Regen, Cure 3, things are going to be useful here. There is one minor thing though, and that is by taking out the head multiple times, something in a few moments is also going to be slightly influenced. We'll talk more about that when we get to it.
I did not like this boss. This is probably the one reason why I never actually choose to finish Final Fantasy VII. Every time I play it, I usually stop right before I get to this boss fight because I hate this. I absolutely hate Bizarro Sephiroth.
My problem with this fight comes down to its length. It's, in concept, short, take out certain parts to expose the core, then do damage to it quickly. And if you have the right setup, it is pretty quick to do that. But its battle animations take forever. In between pieces reviving and having to go through a death animation each time, it is admittedly kind of a slog. Also, you know what? Take a little money, Sephiroth. You look like you could use it. 600,000 sound good? 600,000 sounds good. Like, yeah, look at this. Most enemies would have already done like 3 attacks in this time frame. Also, fun fact, I think this was the first time I'd ever seen this animation.
No.
Ow! Actually wasn't too bad at all. Yo, go Cloud! Holy shit, that's cool. But that's phase 1 done, because it's an RPG final boss. If there's not more than one phase, it's probably not a very good game. And shut up, planet. We're trying, okay?
Imagine telling the planet to shut up.
I can make a joke about circumstances here, but I'm not going to. And now, time for one of the fan favorite songs. Phase 2's theme song is One Winged Angel, and it's often lauded as one of the best final boss themes in video games. And I'll admit it's good, but it's not that good. Dancing Mad's better.
Yep, I would agree. Also, the way Uematsu actually wrote this, he didn't even write all of this. He wrote it in segments, and this isn't even the order in which he wrote them in. It's like,
it's not?
No, it isn't. He wrote one part on one day, and then he wrote the other part like 2 weeks later, and then he like flipped them.
Weird.
It's super weird. I actually recommend people with any interest in that kind of thing, look it up. It's very cool. Anyways, this bastard, really weird. Depending on if you used like coder on Jenova Absolute, killed the head 249 times. Don't ever do that. And how many characters you have at level 99? Sephiroth's max HP will be anywhere from 55,100 to 400,000 at its cap. Obviously, because it's the final boss, you don't get anything out of it. No experience, AP gil, nothing to steal, nothing to drop. This guy, nothing too special. He's got a fallen one attack. I think it's got a different name in this game, but
Heartless
I believe
Angel.
Heartless Angel, yeah. It reduces everyone's HP to 1. You gotta be really careful with that. And of course, he is the source of the all-powerful Supernova. I believe there's something interesting involving the American version of this game, where Supernova has like a different animation and it does gravity-based damage.
Yeah, it does gravity-based in this one. Other notable things, Pale Horse inflicts a lot of status ailments. He has Shadow Flare, which you need to watch out for. Dean just hurts. It's a physical attack, I think. And he almost always starts the fight with walls, so if you have anyone with Deep Barrier, which I do because the Master Magic spell, or the Master Magic Materia, use that at the start just to make things a bit easier on you. Eventually he'll fly up higher in the air, and that's around the time he actually does Pale Horse. Which also just straight up hurts too, by the way. And at this point, only long-range attacks can hit him, which, if you have long-range materia, doesn't mean much, or if you have Barret, but for me, that means a lot, and now it's time for Supernova! Okay, Supernova. This does damage equal to, I want to say, about 90% of your HP. It can also inflict Confuse, Silence, and Slow. For me, with Ribbons, that doesn't mean too much. I think Slow is the only one of those I can still get through. But something interesting about this is that this is technically considered a summon in the game's data, I believe, compared to just a special attack, which is why it has such a unique animation.
Is he summoning the comet that destroys the sun?
I guess? But this is such an iconic attack that in Dissidia, this ended up becoming his EX attack, I believe. Whereas Cloud got Omni Slash. And I don't remember what other characters got. Well, I guess Squall got Lionheart, of course. But, like, I don't remember what Zidane got. I think Titus got Blitz Ace. And anyone before that just basically got some random stuff relevant to their moveset, I think. With that said, something that I like that this does, and I think Necron in 9 does very well as well, is that I think they make Sephiroth's attack pattern set in a certain way where this attack always happens in tune with a certain part of the music. And it works so well.
I never really noticed that kind of thing happen.
Of course, that could vary depending on your own animations. Like, if you use summons, that'll obviously throw things off sync. But more often than not, I have the chanting that's kind of going around this point. And of course, it didn't happen here, but Sephiroth, you're kind of on fire. Sephiroth, it's going to be close. Oh, that wasn't that bad at all.
I mean, it hurts like a...
Oh, yeah,
it hurts really bad.
But the fact that it never kills you makes it not very threatening. And they tried to use counterattack.
Yeah, I believe... I don't think it was Machine Bridge, but there was a, the Final Fantasy VII in a nutshell does this. They talk about how Supernova does gravity-based damage.
Ultimately, if you've gotten this far, Safer Sephiroth shouldn't be that much of a challenge. His relatively, potentially low HP doesn't makes him, honestly, kind of easier than Bizarro Sephiroth in some ways, depending on how you go about it. I forget what his base HP is, though, because very often...
His base HP is just over 50,000.
Just over, or is that the lowest after taking care of the head a certain amount of times?
Oh!
In the last fight?
I'm pretty sure that's the lowest it gets.
Ultimately, his attack pattern, I think, is set to be Wall or Dispel, depending on the cycle, because after Supernova, his attack pattern restarts, I believe. Dean or Shadow Flare, a physical attack, then he flies up, does Pale Horse, Supernova, Break or Heartless Angel, I think, depending on what his HP is compared to its total, and then he flies back down again. Based off the fact the limit gauge isn't raising, hey, Sid, nice job, buddy. You saved the world. And, like all good final bosses, slow, epic dissolve. Honestly, this probably is my favorite slow dissolve out of a final boss in a Final Fantasy, though. I don't know why. Just the fact that he's slowly fading away while going away from us physically, he just looks unique to me.
It looks really cool. It looks really cool.
Also, I think Safer... Yeah, oh yeah, it looks great. I also think Safer Sephiroth is supposed to be a mistranslation of Seraph, or it could just be a play on it. I'm not sure. But that's it! Sephiroth's dead! Holy should be able to do stuff now! Let's mosey on out of here, then. Ooh, calming winds. It's quiet. And we all got back up here somehow.
We did it.
I think my favorite parts about this scene here are Sid just sitting down like a tired old man and Yuffie panting on the ground because she just went through some shit.
Huh.
But yeah, that's all we can do. With Meteor still up there and Sephiroth gone, Holy no longer is being blocked, so all we can do is leave and hope Holy takes care of it in time. Kind of grim, but oh god. You feel what? What?
Oh, Cloud's going nuts again.
We're not quite done yet. Now, this FMV for years confused me on what was happening, but I think more recently I finally realized it. Well, spoiler alert, minor spoiler alert, Sephiroth is still technically a thing. We're going to take care of the last vestige, which I'm guessing is supposed to be his hold over Cloud mentally. And I'm thinking this is supposed to be taking place in the same place where Tifa rescued Cloud back in Medial. Kind of a representation of the life stream's consciousness or some shit.
Yeah. I always thought the scenery was, like, super awesome, though. Like, there's no better place for where this should take place.
Yeah. Reminds me a bit of Sliders, though, if you ever watched that show, even though that was a bit before both of our times. Claude, why is he shirtless in your mind?
He's thinking happy thoughts.
And just the only music we get here is the bell for those who run the planet, and our limit gauge is filling up automatically. And there's a good reason for that. Even if you didn't get it at the gold saucer, we gotta end it off stylishly. Notable, if you don't use this, Sephiroth does eventually attack you, but it's a gravity-based attack, so it can never kill you, and Cloud automatically counterattacks. Screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you, screw you. This is for my mother, asshole!
Bam.
Rotten hell.
I love that little spasm he has where he throws his arms down and then up again and then immediately down again.
Yeah, I think the animation loops a bit weirdly.
Yeah.
And with that, 7 years later, it's finally over. Huh. I'm looking forward to how the remake takes care of that scene, because it's gonna be weird. What if that's what the ghosts things in the trailers are building up to? Holy shit.
Punk.
You know, I just realized, just due to how long this project has taken us behind the scenes, and obviously that's why the delay on the channels happened, this is coming out so close to the remake that some of our questions might actually be answered about that shit. Okay, that's different. Huh, my daydreams usually end quite differently than this. Oh, God. Advent children jumping, don't fail me now! I think this is the only time we see characters speak in FMV, by the way.
Actually, yeah, I don't think...
Because they don't do this in 9 or 8 at all, I think.
Zidane, I know this because I can hear it. Zidane breathes in an FMV.
Oh, damn. Advancement. The green is now blue. That means things are good.
It's immediately after the Evil Forest segment.
Oh, that makes sense. And yeah, where's everyone else? And also, does Cloud have a scar over his eye? Yo, there's everyone. Wait, where's Vincent and Yuffie? Well, since they're technically optional characters, they're not in the FMVs. Advent Children would later retcon them to be here, but then Dirge of Cerberus would later re-retcon them to have a reason for not being here. They're supposedly over in Midgar right now, commencing evacuations just in case.
Huh.
Which I like that little in-between. But yeah, at this point, like I said earlier, all we can do is hope Holy gets there in time. And hope that we can easily find a way out of here. How? How is it? Why is this falling?
Because reasons.
And now they're playing it for comedy? That part of the scene never made sense to me.
Yeah.
But hey, at least we have a way out of here, and we should probably get out, because that looks like it's about to shoot a Kamehameha wave out of it. Oh! This would be giving me all sorts of stomach problems. God, the G-forces. Alright, now we brought up the uselessness of the jet upgrade earlier. But now I must ask again, Why does the High Wind have this?
It's too grainy for me. I can't see it. Damn you, Discord.
The wings unfolded like it has a jet mode as well, instead of just like jet fire. How many? I'm convinced it's because they probably went through multiple incarnations of the High Wind in development. So they just decided to use 3 of them. For a while, I actually wasn't able to tell who this kid was supposed to be. This is Marlene. This is Barrett's daughter.
What?
The only time she shows up in an FMV.
Oh, wow.
Because meteors falling right on top of Midgar, because poetic justice I get for Shinra. A lot of people were evacuated from Midgar to various places around. Most of them fled towards Calm. And wow, this place is getting
That's
mystic.
not going to protect them at all. What the hell?
I mean, it's far enough to escape this stuff. I mean, if a meteor does fall, they're still gonna die.
Gravity, energy, mass. That thing's huge.
That's fair.
It would literally destroy the planet.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that thing in the left folder.
If you actually think about it, the meteor that killed the dinosaurs was literally a mile in diameter. And Midgar is a pretty damn big place.
Yeah.
So
this thing is about the size of the moon. And there's Holy, so we made it there in time. We hope. I really like this shot, by the way. That was actually my desktop background for a while. Shit. That's not good. Holy's doesn't look like it's working. Well, Bear, I think it's pretty obvious. Midgar is screwed. Wait, they're in the slums? Ketchi? That is the least safe place, because that's below all that. Red's line here doesn't make much sense to me, because if I recall correctly, he says it's having, the opposite effect. I, to this day, don't know what he means by that. Is it, exacerbating the problem around Midgar? Is it spreading problems around the world? I don't get it.
nah.
What's what? that's the ending. That's all we got for a while for Final Fantasy VII's ending, barring a little post-credit scene we're gonna have up here in a bit. But yeah, that's Final Fantasy VII. I absolutely love this game.
It's a great game. I gotta tell you, like, I played this game for the first time maybe... Oh boy, how long ago was it?
I think it was when we knew each other, wasn't it?
It was about 5 years ago, I think. Because I told you I was gonna play it. And like I knew all the stuff that was happening pretty much, except for like smaller things. I knew about Sephiroth, like I basically knew the game already, and I was just gonna play it for the first time. But that being said, it did live up somewhat to the hype, but it was also one of those cases where the hype kind of killed it for me, because people love this game a little bit too much, I think. Because like when I understand why people really like it. I really, really do. I think it's got amazing side quests. Like I'll never stop doing the Chocobo side quest. I love that side quest. It's much better than Chocobo Hot and Cold in 9, and I will always say that until the end of time. But I think people just kind of, I don't know, just knowing all the stuff that happened and like, I don't know, it felt underwhelming to me, all things considered. With the exception of the weapon fights, that was pretty darn cool.
Honestly, I can't blame you for that, because this game's had a bit of a weird character arc compared to other Final Fantasies. For a while, because this was the game that made RPGs explode in the West, this was the game. Everyone talked about it. Everyone was like, oh, this is the best game ever. And of course, because people are people, then there was the eventual pushback into the exact opposite, that it was a trash game, that it's not worth the hype. Only within the last couple of years have people started to kind of, mature and be like, it's a great game with some notable problems. And that's my basic stance on it.
Yeah.
It's my third favorite in the series. 9 and 4 are better in my eyes, but this is still a fantastic game.
I would put this top 5 for me. This is definitely really good. I'd probably say top. Is it top as a tie between 9 and 6? Because I can't decide. And then second would probably go to 5, honestly. I love that game. It's really, really good. Third is 10, fourth is 12, and then comes 7.
I think what makes this game so strong is its main cast, because before this, most of the Final Fantasies had maybe like 1 or 2 characters that were really strongly written, but the others were just kind of ignored. Everyone in this game gets a good amount of character development and screen time, with the only real exception being basically Yuffie, because she was the only character I think intended to be optional from the start, whereas I think at some point Vincent was going to be required, hence why he has so much story focus. And I just love that. Everything regarding the flashback sequence, I learned something new about that every time. I noticed something new about it, and that's great that can happen. I think the materia system is great, if a bit beginner overwhelming. Though not as bad as as the junction system as in 8, because that's really overbearing on beginners. With that said, the game has shown its age between certain mechanics, certain bugs, and the graphics obviously are very Popeyes. With that said, though, this game just has so much heart in it that it's still worth your time. If you want to play it, it's on PlayStation. The remake's coming out relatively soon by the time this gets uploaded, probably. I really recommend it. And one thing I can say about this game that I can say about no other Final Fantasy is that it has my favorite soundtrack. I love this soundtrack to death. This credits theme is my favorite in the entire franchise, including this rendition of the main theme, which, by the way, stands for the Final Fantasy National Anthem. It's just so good. The only soundtrack that's gotten close to it are 2. 9's, just because that's just overall such a good soundtrack as well. And the complete package that is Final Fantasy XIV's soundtrack, which even if you don't play MMOs, I recommend you go out and listen to. This goes especially to you, Kenny, because it's just so good.
9 has my favorite. This one is also top. This one's top 3 in terms of soundtrack. 9 and 6. Still can't get past those games. Very, very, very good.
That is a very fair ranking. With that said, though, next up for us in Final Fantasy, which won't be for a while because this game took us a while to get to. Let me put it like this. This is probably getting uploaded in maybe February, March. It is December 20th. I was recording this game this time last year, And the fact it took us this long to finish isn't even on us completely, because we had school, you had multiple jobs going on around the time. Time's just been rough on us to get to, and that's kind of what's going to happen because we're growing up.
Life.
It's rough, but it has to happen.
Life.
With that said, though, next up for us, in terms of a new game, is Final Fantasy V.
Yes!
With that said, we're not going to that immediately after this. We're going to head back to Final Fantasy IV really quickly. So we can do the post-game for that, because I'm biased towards 4, so you know it's going to get more love. And just because that would be a little bit too little stuff to do for one LP between us, we're also going to do the PSP exclusive interlude scenario that kind of bridges after years and 4. So look forward to that, probably late 2020, early 2021 at this rate.
Yeah, no one knows what's going to happen now.
Yeah. With that said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and again, Kenny, thank you so much for joining me. Every time we do one of these, even though sometimes things can take long to get to, it's always so fun.
It's real fun. I enjoy it for the most part.
Like this was the ending to the original list I set out for us back in Final Fantasy 1 4 years ago.
Ooh, that's a long journey.
And yeah. Thanks for joining me along it, man.
It's fun.
You are probably the best thing to come out of the Final Fantasy 9 soundtrack for me, brother.
Let's go, Ozma.
Yeah.
It's the one good thing Ozma has done for us.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever told that story on the channel. The entire reason Kenny and I met was because I was listening to the Final Fantasy 9 soundtrack on YouTube, I think the boss theme, and I saw some tiny kid named Bahamut Charmander 465 say, yeah, you should have seen me get wiped by this guy in my LP. So I was like, hey, kid getting completely destroyed. I gotta see this. And then I found myself laughing both at the actual pain and actually along with what he was saying. Then we became friends.
Uh-huh.
And damn it, I have not regretted a single moment of that.
I also smile at Mario World. That was also another really, really nice reason why. Very fun.
And we get one last little epilogue, and apparently Red found a mate somewhere along the line. And now he has little kittens? Puppies?
Puppies. He's more of a
cat,
dog. Wait, is he a lion or a dog?
I don't know. Maybe that's what the remake can clarify. And
so he... Wait, okay, so it's a plot twist he wasn't the last survivor?
I guess.
Huh.
But, as we can see, 500 years later, everything is all right.
Nice.
All worked out. So I guess we got some closure that it all worked out, but still, that ending's kind of vague.
Don't worry, the remake will clear it all up, I'm sure.
Just keep Genesis both in and out of it, please. And with that, we end on children laughing. Creepy, and I think we're also going to get the usual spacey background with the prelude playing. Oh, no, that's just straight up it. With that, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being patient over the delay that this LP took to get to. I hope it was worth it. I think it was. Have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. Thank you again, Kenny, for joining me.
See you next time.
And see you guys then.